let's tackle the biggest surprise this week, which is the 39 new COVID-19 cases. The first issue was that Monday's dashboard didn't indicate that there were any pending cases, or pending samples sent to CAFA, nor did it indicate that anybody was in self-quarantine. We later hear that 109 samples were sent to CAFA, and a number of people had been asked to self-quarantine, including this one woman who, I guess, decided that she didn't need to stay home. Thank you very much. She didn't need to stay home to self-quarantine and found herself in a particular barber shop, and now has exposed herself to other people. Okay, fine, no problem. But when addressing the nation on Wednesday, the health authorities, so we had the Minister of Information, Melfort Nicholas, we had Morwin Joseph, the Minister of Health, we had the CMO, Rhonda Seeley Thomas, and we had Dr. Lester Simon, and we'll talk about Dr. Lester Simon later. And what we expected to be this detailed press conference, you come with your numbers, was just a disaster. Okay, I'm not the only one saying it. I'm not the only one thinking it. It was a disaster. First of all, the audio issues were horrible. I don't know what happened there. I don't think we've ever had a press conference with that much audio issues, up to the point where the panelists couldn't hear what the journalists were asking. Okay, fine. And when asked, okay, how many people? Where are they? There was no direct answer. Why are you telling people, oh, I'm not sure, 30 to 40 people, we sent cases away today, but I'm not sure of the exact amount? Do you not come prepared for such a press conference?
No, she wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
Let's go to that woman, the Spanish woman who decided that she would leave self-quarantine and expose herself to other people in the community. Yo, I've seen how they do COVID tests.
Oh man.
Even my bruises have bruises.
Don't worry, buddy. I've got just what you need.
A kiss to make it better.
Nobody wants anything stuck up their nose. So thank you, woman, for deciding that you would leave self-quarantine to have other people exposed and now have to be tested for COVID. Also, have them losing business. That's just brilliant. But mind you, do you even blame this woman? I mean, you do blame her because, we all have responsibilities. But the Ministry of Health has known that these things, and by these things I mean self-quarantine, has not been an effective method. They know that people will go and do whatever they want to. You know that you don't have the bodies to monitor people 24/7. Why send them in self-quarantine, especially if this woman, well, they said she is Spanish, but they said she didn't come from Santo Domingo, she came from Miami. But that doesn't make a difference because Miami also has increased COVID-19 cases. So why allow her to self-quarantine? Let her go to the government facility. I think in cases like that, if we're not going to restrict persons coming from certain countries, then at least allow them to be quarantine, or allow them to quarantine at the government facility until you can get a test result. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous. It's falling apart. Not to mention this week we have the police protesting, or let's call it their meeting, okay? Because by law, apparently they're not allowed to protest. So they're meeting. They've been meeting for the entire week. So we have that going on. We have the nurses who are in an uproar wanting to protest. Antigua State College. I mean, this week has been a shit show. Yeah.
Government is pimps. They all pimps, because pimps say shit to you and then don't explain it. That's how our government do it.
The prison is overcrowded. And not only that, the containers, because remember they're expanding the prison. So the containers they would have built in the back, some of them are being used for isolation centers for persons who are just coming in, inmates who are just coming in. And that apparently is full as well. They had to use a spare room. It wasn't really a spare room, but it was an administrative room that they had to turn into an isolation center or an isolation unit in order to keep the 9 Barbudans who came from Barbuda. Now, all these were for curfew violations. First of all, we know the situation. We already know Her Majesty's Prison is overcrowded. Why are we taking Barbudans, or anyone for that matter, who have violated curfew and put them inside said prison.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, leave these people at their home. You charge them and you allow them to stay home. I don't even think there should be an issue with bail because, again, this is curfew violation. I think we would be able, after this all settles, after the dust settles, to locate and identify these people and say, you need to come to court. And at that point, if they're refusing or whatever the case is, you arrest them, you put them at Her Majesty's prison. But the prison is already full. We're arresting people for curfew violations. The other day, I think they had arrested 70-something people for curfew violations. Are you putting all 70-something people at Her Majesty's prison? And the minister said, the prison is meant to house about 170 people. And we have about 293 people or 95 people. It's not overcrowded. No shit, Sherlock. It's not overcrowded. Who would think it's overcrowded? But I say this to say, what the fuck going on? Wow. It's a shit show. It's a shit show. Anyways, so the police officers are protesting, okay? The Police Welfare Association. They are protesting in the form of meetings. They have a right as an organization to meet, and so they've been doing that. Their issue is that, one, the deplorable conditions of stations across the island. Two, they don't have water, a proper running water. They don't have any PPEs. They don't have any hand wash stations or as mandated by the Central Board of Health through the laws. They also don't have any risk allowance, go figure, or any medical insurance. So if you're a police officer, you get hurt on the job, you gotta find your way. You gotta pay your own bills until such time that you're reimbursed. And based on what they're saying at the Welfare Association, this can take anywhere from sometimes 2 to 3 years. Police officers die, they pass away without even being reimbursed that money. That's just sad. Now, most people are saying, oh, this is not the right time. Well, not most people, some people, the comments that I see, they're saying that this is not the right time for the police to do that. They need to recognize the situation and the government is cash-strapped, which is essentially what Prime Minister Gaston Brown said. He met them halfway, in my opinion, by saying that, okay, we're going to fix some of the police stations. We're going to relocate one of them, and the others we're going to give you paint and other resources to fix it yourself. Now, of course, the police officers are going to take that as an insult. I think he was good up until the part where he said, you have the skills to spruce up the place yourself. Okay. Now remember, police officers being demanded of them with COVID. They're meant to now hold people accountable for breaking curfew, for wearing masks, the specific violations in addition to the regular jobs that they have. And these people are saying, you know what, enough is enough. Do not use COVID as an excuse as to why you cannot give us what it is that we want. Because we've been asking for this since Jesus was a boy. Yes, since Jesus was a boy. And we haven't gotten it. And we really don't want to hear any more excuse. And they said, they're prepared to take this out throughout the weekend, into the coming weeks if they have to. They won't be letting up. I think Marilyn Harris, the Deputy Welfare Association Chair, said, 2020 is the year of police officers. We finna get this. They gonna give us what we want. Okay? That's what's gonna happen. And so they've continued to protest. They have refused to meet with the Attorney General, understandably so. I think after a while, when you're asking the same person over and over again for the same thing and you're not seeing any solutions, you're not bother. Don't bother. And so they wanted to meet the Prime Minister at the police recreation grounds. But both the Prime Minister, who said he had no obligation under regular circumstances to meet with them, said, he wouldn't meet because, first off, the meetings would kind of violate social gathering, not violate, but, he's cognizant of the social gathering or mass gathering amidst the pandemic, and that he invited them to meet with him in cabinet on Wednesday. Now they said that they're fed up with closed doors, is what they're saying, or discussing things behind closed doors, because then, the situation can be manipulated and nothing really gets done. And so they say, no, you guys come meet us here. And if you can't meet us here, we're not coming and we're not going back to work. I mean, power to the people. Power to the people. That's all I can say. I think it's been a rough week for the administration. I'll say that much. And I would not want to be in their shoe. I really would not.